It's a crazy week in WordPress, but you're here for the Ask Me Anything call with LifterLMS and a little bit of sanity. Hello, Emily. Welcome to the show. I've got Emily Middleton with me. I'm Kurt Von Annen. We're here for the Ask Me Anything call with LifterLMS, where we like to focus on anything that is LifterLMS related and a little bit of WordPress. And I say a little bit of WordPress with a tentative nature today. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I don't know. What am I doing? I'm doing a lot of video editing stuff lately and just kind of styling things up, kind of refactoring designs on my websites and a couple client websites and prospecting for some new video jobs. That's about all I'm doing. What are you up to?
Well, I was just on the WP Tonic show and I knew it was going to be entertaining. So I made myself a charcuterie board as a snack, which is great because, you know, if you've ever watched that show, Spencer and Jonathan start bantering back and forth and I got nothing to do but sit there and eat snacks on camera. So that was that. I too have been doing a little bit of client work on some interesting things. So one is SCORM related stuff. I've got 3 SCORM projects in the hopper right now that I'm working with. And it's one super simple, one's pardon me, one's a little more integrated. They use some custom fields in the website that kind of conflict with LifterLMS settings a little bit. So I'm working around that. That's taken a little bit of brain matter. And then we've got another one coming up that I'm going to start on soon, which oddly enough is going to be another government related e-learning website. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the last year, 5 projects from people that were able to land the contract with a government entity and then come to me to get the work done. Like there's a good market in that. Like I know a lot of people come to this call and they're like, how does this plugin work? Or how does this add-on add value to my website? Or, you know, they have these thoughts, right? But my brain always goes to like, what's the use case for this? How could you take this tool and monetize this? How could you become the expert and change the pathway of your life, right? Like when I published my first book, I published it as a mental exercise. I didn't realize it was going to change the trajectory of my whole life for me and my family. But I ended up down this corporate training route because I published that book, right? It's like you sometimes we need to think of like, what can I do that will change trajectory? And if you're new to the e-learning space, when you think about how e-learning is really utilized in society, and there's other things that help, for instance, 1, 2, 3, out of the five, 4 of them were women. And out of the 5, 4 of them were people of color, right? Like not white males. And so they qualify more for the government contracts. They get higher points. Their bids can get accepted at higher dollar amounts. And so when you start thinking about how that bid process works, it's almost like if you knew how that bid process worked, your knowledge of LifterLMS wouldn't even be that important yet. Like the most important thing is, how does that bid process work? What's my standing in the point system to win those bids? And then if I won that bid, how would I execute? And in their cases, a lot of them just say, just hire Kurt or just hire someone like Kurt. Go to the experts page and LifterLMS and pick somebody, right? But that's the cool part about Lifter is that we have channels built into LifterLMS and its community for people to get help. And so I'm just amazed at how much opportunity is out there. That's all. Just kind of dumbfounded by how much opportunity there is. Colleges.
Awesome.
Yeah, colleges, schools, corporates. So I'm really big in the corporate training space. You know, that's kind of my niche. You know, I go after corporations as clients that have, you know, SCORM content they made a decade ago that they paid $1 million to have made, and they don't want to delete it. They don't want to start over. They've made too much of an investment. And so they feel like they're trapped or they're stuck in their outdated, ugly, crappy website. And I turn around and go, no, I can give you a modern, light website as a CMS with surrounding content around it and still play your course just the way you intended it a decade ago. And we can do that very readily now with LifterLMS and a couple of tools. So that's like my target market, but everyone's use case is different and the opportunity is astounding.
That's awesome. There's a big opportunity out there in that. I've only probably worked with 1 or 2 projects ever that have been structured in that way, where it's a government project, but that's awesome to hear you're doing well in that space.
It's, I wish I was the one, honestly, that would find these bids and bid and win bids and because how cool would it be to keep all the money for myself? But we're still getting the work. So I'm grateful for that. And like I said, the opportunities, I mean, if you get, oh gosh, what do they call that? It's US, not USA, USD, US, I don't know. There's a thing. You qualify for it, and then the government can give you purchase orders because they're part of the purchase order program in the government. And so there's a thing, as a vendor, you qualify for that. And so if you are one of those qualified vendors, you get like preferential listings, right? And so then if you fit other demographics, you get more preferential treatment. And then if you fit certain company sizes, you get more preferential treatment. You get certain point values in your bid process because of these things. And so if you have a lot of those circumstances in your favor and you can provide the service, you have a very good chance of winning some very lucrative bids, which is a really cool thing to think about.
Definitely.
Yeah. The other thing was, and I said this before on the live, I have a project where I do live. I have static content like evergreen content, but I also pepper it with live coaching. And it's really nice to be active in that, like to, pardon me, every couple of weeks we have a live session, we get together. I have Zoom embedded directly in the website. So I give them a link that's based on the website, the LMS link. They go in, they attend the live meeting. I get their homework, their assignments, I grade things. It's just really cool to see the platform work the way it can. So a lot of times you and I get to build these things, but we don't get to use them so much. Like you're taking a course with somebody that uses LifterLMS, and you get to see it from a student perspective.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's seeing a course from a student perspective gives a lot of insight to me for like what kind of advice I can offer them. I'm doing more work. Like I did some custom development for them a few days ago with a custom plugin, and that's fun to be able to break into the code of Lifter and just kind of work with WordPress under the hood. I really like that project. It gives me a lot of insight into where the core value is in a lot of these offerings.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Now, we did have a pre-asked question. And you know what? We'll slap this up on the screen too while we're here. We'll say where did it go? There it is. You can ask your pre-sales questions in the chat, right? So if you've got a question, if you're watching this live, jump into the chat, ask your question, say hello, let us know where you're from, that kind of thing. Question or no question, just jump in and let us know where you're at. And then we did have a question that was asked by a Steve Horn. Let me get this copied. Copy and paste. Shazam from Steve. I kind of want to get your feedback on this question. I had to address this question multiple times before, and I kind of want to see how you deal with it, Emily.
Yeah.
Let's put it right there.
Let's see. So from Steve. With the Infinity Bundle active, is there an advantage to adding Paid Memberships Pro and activating the LifterLMS integration? I came on board with Lifter partially because of my experience with Paid Memberships Pro. So some background in this question is that the owners of Paid Memberships Pro are now also owners or part owners of LifterLMS. That's Jason and Kim Coleman. And so the communities are very closely integrated. There's even a back channel that we have between the two companies where we can talk with the team members, and they're all really cool people. So the infrastructure of who's making these products is very closely related. We use similar product design processes and stuff like that, and kind of help each company and each product grow with the experience the other one has. And so I know Paid Memberships Pro has some features that LifterLMS doesn't have, but LifterLMS also has membership features built in. If you already had payments going on Paid Memberships Pro, I would recommend sticking with that Paid Memberships Pro for the membership access, and then using the integration to get people into your LifterLMS programs like courses and memberships and things like that. You could also set it up from scratch where you say, hey, I don't want to use the LifterLMS membership system. I want to use Paid Memberships Pro's system for that. But then I do want to provide content with LifterLMS. I think, let me see if subscription switching is a thing. I don't remember if it is. So change subscription level. So Paid Memberships Pro handles switching a little bit differently. Like, I just want to find one example of something that they can do that LifterLMS memberships can't. Okay, so Paid Memberships Pro looks like each level are distinct entities, and you can upgrade and downgrade from subscriptions.
Yeah, I like the upgrade downgrade option.
And you can switch payment gateways and stuff. So there are a few options like that inside of Paid Memberships Pro, and there's probably other examples you can find of features that exist there that don't exist in LifterLMS. And if you're looking for some of those edge cases, then I would recommend sticking with PM Pro. You could also let us know in an email to help@lifterlms.com what your requirements for your membership is. Like, if you can really flesh out the technical requirements of what you're looking for from a membership feature, we could evaluate if you should go with PM Pro or stick with Lifter when building from scratch. But if you've already built PM Pro and you're just adding Lifter, I wouldn't switch to Lifter's member system. What do you think about that, Kurt?
I like every bit of that answer. I just want to add one slight piece to it, and it's I put the comment in already. But if you have Paid Memberships Pro already, if you go to this resource that Paid Memberships Pro has about adding on LifterLMS, they give you kind of the step-by-step, right? So like, this is how you add a scaled down version of LifterLMS so that you don't overwrite membership tools and things like that. And I agree absolutely with Emily in this case that if you already have it established with Paid Memberships Pro and you like some of those features, I love the upgrade downgrade on the membership level. I think that's really cool. There's a couple other things that they have. If you prefer that, there's no sense in taking those tools away from yourself, right? You could just add the LifterLMS for the learning management and the reporting, and leave the membership, heavy lifting with Paid Membership Pro, and you got the best of both worlds.
Definitely.
Shazam! We got more people coming into the live, so I'm going to say it again. If you have any questions, comments, or you just want to, check in with us, go ahead and put a comment into the chat. Put a comment into the chat, and we can jump into that for you. I actually just recently reached out to Jason and expressed to him that I was not knowledgeable enough in Paid Memberships Pro, which is so weird. I mean, let's face facts, Emily. You and I can't be experts on everything, right? There's got to be something, I'm sure there's stuff on your radar that you're like, I wish I knew more about that. But Jason was extremely gracious and was like, yeah, here's everything you needed to learn about Paid Memberships Pro and, bring yourself up to speed on stuff. So that was pretty cool of him, I thought.
Yeah, totally. I think about questions like that a lot. When, we work in the WordPress space, we work with membership tools and LMS, but we don't have we have depth of experience with at least for me, it's probably 3 tools in WordPress, 3 LMS tools in WordPress. Like, I could do Lifter, LearnDash, and probably Sensei LMS pretty well. But these other ones like Tutor or Master Study LMS, if you were to put those in front of me, I would have to learn from scratch. I wouldn't really have a concept for how their product works, or I couldn't draw it on a piece of paper for you, where I could draw LearnDash, Lifter, and Sensei from my head on a piece of paper, what the interfaces look like and how they work. And so that also applies to membership tools. When something like Paid Memberships Pro, I don't know the membership tools. Access Ally, I think. There's a few other membership tools in space. So that's an interesting one to think about. Is like, what does it look like to integrate with new tools? What does it look like to learn a new tool? And who are you talking to? And what kind of tools do they know? Like, we work with some of the most popular LMSs in the industry, but there's a lot of options out there. So when it comes to a membership tool, you might have something bespoke, like especially with like hosting companies. People come to us all the time and say, "Hey, I have this bespoke hosting company that's down the street from me, and they're running like an LMS site with all kinds of complicated features and things like that." Whereas me and Kurt might be used to a solution that's going to be more not just mainstream solutions. We do try a lot of tech products, but we're going to be looking at bigger companies like GoDaddy, Bluehost, WP Engine, Kinsta, other web hosts like that, or Hostinger. That, at least, I don't want to speak for you, Kurt, but that's primarily my perspective, comes from those industry leaders and whoever's doing the best marketing of the product. But there are some niche products out there, membership tools, hosting, and otherwise, that can do interesting things. They're just a bit less popular.
Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned all those different vendors, I guess is what I would say, right? Different hosts, different whatever. And the resources are amazing for all that different stuff. I don't know. I'm putting some more questions in.
Awesome.
Let's see what we got here. We got one from Tanya. It's a long one. From Tanya. I have a client who is trying to create some online courses for her business. One course is for certification and the other is a renewal course. We see this a lot with like continuing education, right? They need an annual certification or a biannual certification or something. She needs to have the ability in the renewal course to set parameters around the length. I've seen this question come up before, so I thought we'd address it here. It says, so for example, a person can't just launch the renewal course and mark it complete. A section needs to take XYZ amount of time. So essentially some time-based tracking or amount of time to pass before they can move on to the next section. Is that possible? Yes and no. Is that a fair answer? That's a fair answer, right, Emily? Yes and no. So here's the quick and dirty on the deal. If I was going to say, hey, I'm working with you from the beginning of this project, and we want to find, kind of an equitable workaround that out of the box will work. Like let's just have that conversation. How does this LMS work? How could I force people to do something for a certain amount of time? I would immediately say, is your curriculum video-based, text-based, image-based, or audio-based? And then hopefully you would say, well, it's video-based. And then I'd say, you are in luck. LifterLMS has an add-on available called Advanced Videos. Part of the Advanced Videos feature is that you can mandate that people have to watch the full video before it opens up the quiz ability or the ability to get to the next lesson. Or you could put that prerequisite on that lesson to keep them from getting to the next lesson without completing it. And completion requires full view of the video. So if it was a mandatory 2-hour course and you had 4 lessons in it and each lesson was a half hour, you'd have your 2 hours. So that is out of the box one of the cleanest and clearest ways to talk about time on a course being mandatory and making sure that people do it. The other thing is that part of the answer is the no answer, right? But it's WordPress. And so there really is no in WordPress. So there's usually 17 different ways to do something. So in that case, I would say, let your fingers do the walking, get in touch with a developer, with someone that can help you with coding or application of third-party tools. There are some timer tools available in the repository in WordPress, and some user tracking tools that are available in WordPress. And between the user tracking and the timer tools, you would be able to come up with some kind of a program, some kind of a customization that would say these courses can't be completed unless a user clocks this much time, and then it opens up the function of the buttons to go to the quiz or to the next lesson. Did I say that in a way that makes sense?
Yeah, it's very specific. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there are ways to do it, and then it comes down to, so what's the goal? What's the real use case? Emily taught me this question a couple years ago. Why? right? Because a lot of times a customer says, oh, we have to have this. A board of directors somewhere said, well, we got to have this, we got to have this, we got to have this. They wrote it down on a whiteboard. Someone took a picture of it and a secretary wrote it up on a sheet, and then they hand it to you and they go, these are our requirements. And then you look at it, and then a discerning agency person would look at that list and go, why? And a lot of cases, there is no why. There's no why to answer. Well, we would prefer if they spent 2 hours in the course. Is 2 hours magic for some reason? Is it a requirement from the government, a requirement from the college, a requirement from, oh no, you just prefer it? Well, then you might not even need it. Now you could just load the videos in and not even have, advanced videos. So it really is just a matter of what's your true use case? Can you answer the question why in a way that makes sense? And then look for that workaround. Like I said, if it's video, that's easy for us. Use the advanced videos and set your settings up accordingly. But if it's not video and it's like text and images and audio and a combination of digital assets, then you probably want to have something developed.
Definitely.
All right. I got another one. This one I screwed up and I forgot to put the name in front of it. I can't remember who wrote it. I could tell you real quick, maybe. This is a Tanya also, so I wonder if it's the same Tanya. Could be the same Tanya. I don't know. Now I don't feel so bad for missing her name. All right. Can I create courses that can be completed without registration on the website? I've heard this request multiple times, and sometimes when I ask the discerning questions of the actual use case, I find out that it's a crazy request and you can't do it. And by crazy request, you can't do it, I mean, I've had people say, can I build an LMS that tracks somebody's successful completion of a course without making them log in? And I'm like, well, if they don't log in, how do you know who it is? Oh, well, the site will track them. The site will track them how? Like, that's the disconnect I think a lot of people have with AI, for example. People think that AI is this magic thing that just does whatever you imagine it to do, and it's not there yet, right? And just like AI is not there yet, LifterLMS and your WordPress website's not there yet. And so, can you create courses that can be completed without registration? Yeah, you could create like a free access kind of thing where people can access the lessons for free. In fact, there's a thing where each lesson could be toggled as free and people can view it as visitors. So they can go through the content, but you're not going to store any reporting or completions or certifications or anything like that. In fact, that's probably a pretty good thing to do a screen share on. Would you mind doing a screen share, Emily? Kind of show
Sure.
that free lesson feature. I don't think we've featured that in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go into
And we seem to have
site.
the time to talk about stuff today because we're not getting a lot of comments. I do see people here live. The number is lit up with a positive integer. So if you would like to join us today and have a comment or a question, we'd love to help you. And I'm going to have another piece of cheese.
Totally. So taking a look at the LifterLMS free lesson feature, you can find this inside of the courses area on all of your courses. Whenever you enter this course builder here, which you can find both on the course list page where you see all your courses like I'm looking at now, or on the course edit screen, there's a blue button that says course builder. Either way you'll get here, and on this course builder page, we can see I do have 2 lessons here that are already free, but let's take a look at the setting that made it happen. So if I go to the settings all the way here on the left-hand side under the lesson title, clicking settings, we can see there's a toggle for free lessons. And so a free lesson being accessed without enrollment, this is usually going to be something used for marketing material or to give people a taste of what your course is about, the quality, the content, the teachers, things like that. Whatever you want to give people kind of a sample of, you can turn on this free lesson feature, and that's going to be on all of your lessons under settings. This toggle's available to turn it as a free lesson, and that simply gives you this indicator that that lesson is free and that URL is now publicly shareable. I really like this feature because I think the best way to market your course content is to take your top 10 to 30% of content and make it free. LifterLMS also has that like favorites feature, which I like to use in conjunction with the free lesson. So if we view a lesson, there's this little heart icon here that people can click to favorite a lesson. And if you find some feedback from your audience that shows that you have a few lessons that are more popular than others, you could take those top 5 lessons, make them free, and that's going to be some of your best marketing material to get people into your program. That's kind of how I think about it. What do you think about that, Kurt?
Oh, I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk back in the day that first inspired me to give stuff away. He would jump up and be all animated and drop F-bombs left and right and talk about, work for people for free, prove to them your value, right? Give away free content and build value with people, build relationships. People like free stuff. The problem is a lot of people don't value free stuff. And so I'm all down for a sample, first 2 lessons free, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm really hesitant on a complete course for free. And unless it's like a mini course lead magnet that leads to something else. But yeah, it's unique, right? Because if you're a course creator, chances are you have a personality style where you really just want to add value to other people. And, the dopamine hit for you is getting people that you add value to and see them grow and see them, expand. And that's that's reward enough sometimes, right? But the grand scheme of things is, we're still in a capitalist society and we all got to make some money. And so being able to have a blend between that adding value and still adding value, but reimbursing yourself is always a challenge. So I use the free tool, but I wouldn't say I over leverage the free tool. So that's probably a good way to say that.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'd mentioned this recently about how raising your price can sometimes be the solution to getting more customers. Yeah. Instead of positioning your offer, you're not getting enough customers, make it cheaper. Position your offer by making it more expensive and then changing your marketing towards that product.
That's not with just courses either. Hopefully the person's not listening to this. I don't think they would be. During the pandemic, do you remember when like used car prices went through the roof?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't buy a used car ever, like crazy. I had a Volkswagen GTI sitting on the front curb that I used to commute in, but I wasn't commuting anymore, right? I didn't have a corporate job anymore. And so I got this, beautiful Volkswagen GTI, 2-liter turbo, 6-speed, sitting on the curb. I was on my 4th set of tires already. So apparently I really like driving that car. And I thought, well, I'll just sell the car, I guess. And I thought the car would be worth $11,000 or $12,000. And then people were like, no, you probably get 14 or 15 for that car. And I was like, you're crazy. And so I listed the car for 14.5. Nobody bit. And then I had a couple people say, I'll give you 10 grand for it. Like the clandestine Carvana type or something. Right. So, this goes on and on. This went on for months where I kept listing and the car was like near perfect. There was barely anything wrong with the car. And so, it had 80,000 miles on it, but that's in Southern California. That wasn't considered a lot of miles. So it was all polished up, waxed, detailed, pretty pictures. I mean, the whole deal. And then I put it at $15,000 and I got a couple of more hits, but no buyers. And I was like, that's weird. Maybe I just won't sell the car. Maybe I'll just keep it. And we didn't need to sell the car. I should stress this. We didn't need to sell the car. I'd already paid the car off early. I didn't have a loan or anything on it. I just felt like it was a waste to have an asset like that sitting on the curb that wasn't getting used. I felt like that was a waste. Emily, guess what I decided to do? Say raise the price. I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Raise the price.
I raised the price. I raised the price to $19,400. And my email lit up. Everybody wanted to buy the car. So some kid came, test drove it, said he loved it, and counted cash out on the workbench in my garage and drove it away. I would have sold the car like $4,000 cheaper. Nobody wanted $4,000 cheaper.
Yeah, there's something to be said, I think, about remarketing, reevaluating, and cleaning up the content that you already have produced if you're a course creator, like instead of having an asset like a car that's heavily determined based on market value, I know courses can also be determined based on market value, but a lot of what you have to offer is your unique creativity course and like coaching and stuff that comes with it. It's your product, and that's what you have to offer. Um, re-skinning your products, putting on a new theme on it, re-examining your marketing, your SEO, what marketing channels you're using. Are you having a pre-sale conversation before the product? Are those pre-sale conversations effective? Are there potential lead magnets that can get people interested in your product, or at least get your brand name stuck in their head? Just examining questions like that is something I'm taking a big look at this year, rather than just saying like, oh, I put videos out on YouTube and then people come into my coaching business because they're aware of me. They might sign up for one of my lead magnets, but that's really all the thought I had put into it for years. And now I'm putting more thought into like, what does the cycle look like? And is there more offerings that I can make in this business from like a course perspective and things like that?
Yeah. I was going to, well, I lost my track of thought. Serves me right for reading other questions on the screen while I'm trying to listen to you.
It's all good.
Yeah. I have another one that I think is kind of weird, and I know that you've seen this before. So with a lesson, I would like to ask a set of questions. I was going to use a Google form and connect it to a button inside the lesson. Is it possible to have all the text answers compiled somehow, like an ebook or even a PDF? And so I always find this question to be kind of odd because we've heard it before. And I'll put it in here. It's in a weird kind of a way. It might not even come up right. Oh, maybe it is. Let's see. Let's see if it shows up on the screen right. Yeah, it showed up on the screen right. So it says, within a lesson, I would like to ask a set of questions. And so immediately I go to, well, we got quizzes. We got assignments. What are you trying to do here? And that's where maybe sometimes I have a lack of patience with folks, because I immediately start going to solutions, right? And then I was going to use Google Form and connect it to a button inside the lesson. So immediately I start thinking, that's confusing. We have quizzes, we have assignments. And then I start to understand they're asking for something different. Is it possible to have all their text answers compiled somehow, like in an ebook form or even a PDF? So now I'm like, oh, I get it. You're trying to compile input from a student from a series of inputs, put it in some kind of chronological stacked order in some kind of a document, and then provide that student a completed document at the end. We have notes. Like in LifterLMS is a thing called notes. You can turn on notes, and the student can add their own notes and their own comments to themselves in their own notebook in Lifter per course. And then they can export that, right? That was the newest thing. Didn't they just say we could take that out to a PDF? You can print the PDF or something like that. This is more like, this question to me is more like, can I generate a PDF workbook of a student's responses in Google and send it to them? Would you say Google Forms works, or would you recommend something better for what I want to do? My response to this question is usually what nobody expects. And that's where I say I try not to depend on Google or Microsoft for anything, because they sunset and turn things off consistently. So if you get used to using one of their tools, but it's not popular enough on a wholesale basis, based on the entirety of a population, they might turn the dang thing off. And if you've built a business on it, and some big company like a Google or a Microsoft just turns off your tools, you're kind of stuck, especially if your people got used to it. So I'm not a big fan of leveraging Google or Microsoft for any of those things, or Facebook for that matter. Facebook's pretty fickle too. But Emily, as we read this question, I keep thinking, because you're kind of a gravity forms person, or at least you're more of a gravity form person than I am. Isn't there like Gravity View that does something similar to this?
Gravity View is really good for Yeah, it's by Gravity Kit. I'm trying to think. Like, Gravity View is something that we had used for the LifterLMS experts page, for the LifterLMS showcase page. For a few of these pages where we have people submit forms to us, and then we want to display those forms in a styled way on the front end of the website. They have all kinds of features like maps and other things that you can incorporate into these listings. I've not tried Gravity View before, though, in order to take submissions from one user, compile them into an exportable report. However, Gravity View is an extremely versatile tool, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if Gravity Kit had a product set, possibly including Gravity View, that allowed that to happen. Definitely something worth looking into. But what I've done in the past for this kind of setup, we had someone on a past live stream come in and say, hey, we're doing a merit badge for Boy Scouts course.
I remember that.
Yeah, I would take the same approach that I recommended to that question, which is basically in Boy Scouts, you have this like workbook you fill out, and then at the end they want to print it out. And so usually you would print out a hard copy, fill it in by hand, or have a PDF on your computer, fill it out by typing. But what they wanted to have is lesson by lesson in Lifter, each requirement be filled out. And then at the end, they have the workbook completed with what they'd filled out per lesson. That sounds more like the scenario here where each lesson contains a form, and at the end it's a big one and a big printable page with all of the stuff from each of the lessons. And so I would recommend something like LifterLMS custom fields plus Gravity forms for that setup. That's what I would do, because Lifter custom forms. I'm confusing myself with names. The LifterLMS custom fields add-on allows you to add custom user meta information to the user profile. This is not a very beginner-friendly description I'm giving right now, but this is an advanced setup. So if you want to write this down and Google it or ask ChatGPT or ask further clarifying questions, you can. But Lifter custom fields lets us add these custom fields to a profile. And those custom fields don't just have to be information about that user, like first name, last name, date of birth, company you work with. Those are the custom fields we're used to. However, in this scenario, you could say, Emily Middleton, answer to lesson 1 as a custom field in my profile. Answer to lesson 2. Answer to lesson 3. So you could add like 100 custom fields to the user profile. Now, I hadn't tested this solution for the Boy Scouts that they had done for one of the troops, so I don't know if there's any load implications with that. I don't think there would be, because it's just more user meta info, but it would be worth experimenting with and playing around with. But you could add a lot of custom fields to a user profile and then take all those custom fields, because LifterLMS offers you shortcodes, put them all on a page that's nicely formatted with like lesson 1, answer 1, lesson 1, answer 2, lesson 2, answer 1, lesson 2. Like, you just have all these custom fields, and then at the end it's printed on a big page with all the LifterLMS shortcodes we give you. You just need to know how to use the LifterLMS custom fields add-on, and then you also need to know how to use Gravity forms or WP forms or any of the forms tools to populate user metadata when a form is submitted. That's how I would approach this solution, but Gravity View might also have a solution.
That's good. That's good. I don't know. Sometimes I find some of these questions, like when I see them, I like, and I think I'm trying to be like super transparent with the audience here. I start to read the question and I'm like, yeah, well, that's a weird question, because we do this, because we do that. And then you get to the end of the question and you're like, oh, you're trying to do something weird. Which is okay. Like, part of being in the space is being creative and finding workarounds and all those things. But I think that's going to lead me back to, since there's no active question in the chat right now, hint, hint, people watching the show. It's going to take me back to the thing that I always mention. Always. If you're new to course creation, if you're new to the idea of selling a course or having an idea and monetizing it, MVP all day long, minimal viable product. Get yourself, outline your course, build a little content around that outline, get it into the course builder, have something in place, and then build a bare bones website around that, that kind of serves as like a sales page, closing page, an e-commerce page, however you want to phrase it. And then see if you can sell the thing, see if you can gain any traction with it. And then as you gain that traction, as you get paid members in your website, well, then you go, okay, well, this is cool. Now let's add this feature. Let's add this other feature, or let's get feedback from the clients and find out what they want. It's interesting. I was just talking to Kevin Geary, and Kevin Geary has a new product that he's working on called Etch. It's in WordPress. It's going to be for designers. And when he asked a bunch of people to invest in it, he showed everybody absolutely goose egg, nothing. He did 3 live presentations to potential investors and showed them not even a conceptual screenshot of what he thought the product would be. And then thousands of people jumped in and basically pledged him $500 or $600 or whatever that was. And when we were talking to him about that process, it was very clear that, he was like MVP all the way, and we build with our users, not for our users. And he was very clear. He was like, if I would have had a slide deck, if I would have had mock-ups of what I thought things would be, all that stuff would have changed anyway based on user input. So I would have been selling people stuff I'd never would have delivered in the first place. I'm better off and I'm more ethical to show people nothing and then build with them, according to what they want, than I am to show them something I think they want that I'm going to change anyway. And so I find that with a lot of these learning projects, we get absorbed into the tools and the shiny objects, and we lose focus on what the student actually wants. And we end up trying to sell the student something completely different than what they even want. Minimal viable products generate revenue and give you the opportunity to grow with stability instead of growing in a panic.
Totally. I like that idea. That's a cool idea. I find I often change my product offerings anyway. So that's a good point, is like if you're thinking of changing the product offerings, then might as well not be super specific at the start. And I think one of the biggest things to support you in that process as an education entrepreneur, or if you're just forming an offer in general, is some kind of community mastermind or mentor, which is why at LifterLMS we have that office hours mastermind call where you can have other people in the LifterLMS community who have successful course programs, might be starting a new course program themselves, or are just coming to hang out and learn along with you. That community is there on a pretty private Zoom call that we run at LifterLMS for universe level and infinity level customers. That kind of thing can be huge support for that. When you come with, hey, this is the education project I'm trying to build, what do you suggest for an MVP? If you come back week over week with those kind of feedback for us on how things went, you can ask about like, hey, what do you think I should run now? Like, you literally just come to me and Kurt every single week if you're on a universe or infinity bundle on a Zoom call, ask what we think you could do for your project in the next week, and then return the following week with the updates and data on that. And sometimes we have featured guests who can also weigh in. Plus we have our mastermind community who might also be in a similar industry to you, have similar experience, and be able to weigh in as well. I just don't see a lot of utilization of that opportunity right now. What do you think about that, Kurt?
I agree 100%. And I'm kind of glad you mentioned the office hours call. I mean, it used to just be for Infinity Bundle people, but now, we've been able to expand that to Universe and Infinity Bundle users. And, it's been pretty cool, especially when you get some new life in the call, right? Because if you talk to the same 10 people every week for 3 years, you're going to get bored sooner or later. But lately we've had some new people showing up, and it's been really engaging. I've enjoyed it.
And yeah, so you could also get feedback like Kurt mentioned. I'm actually like a coaching student of a LifterLMS customer who I've known now for like 8 years, and now I'm actually in their program taking their course, and that's a program where I can go get coaching advice on all kinds of things. So if you do have that opportunity in your life where you have someone who's working with you, excuse me, one-on-one in your industry, via mentor, employer, whatever it is, you can go to them and get feedback as well. I think too many course creators try to build their products alone, and too many product builders try to build their products alone.
Yep. I am trying to track a question here in chat, and it's not working for me over in our support. I was like, oh, I'll share this question on screen, and I was like, no, I don't even understand what this question's asking me. Oh no. This is okay. It's coming. Yep. Have you ever heard of Jitsi?
Yeah, is that the live streaming thing?
Jitsi's the live streaming thing. And it looks like they're reaching out to us here. So it looks like I'm going to have to do some third-party testing on Jitsi pretty soon. Our tutorial on Jitsi meets LifterLMS integration is ready. So, all right. For those of you that are not aware of what we're talking about, we have a article on LifterLMS on how to embed Zoom into your website. And then Zoom got complicated last year. Zoom changed the rules on the apps that you would connect to integrate Zoom into your website. And it caused a lot of confusion. In fact, a lot of people just made this assumption that, well, nothing's going to work anymore. I'm just going to find something else other than Zoom. And then a bunch of things popped up. There's one called Whereby that I use. There's another one called Jitsi that I've used. There's another one like WP Stream that connects to different streaming services, but embeds into your WordPress website really well. So I've used that. There's all these different video tools that are out there. And in the e-learning world, that can be a make or break thing for a site, depending on your use case. Some people are really dependent upon having live video in their website. And so always trying to be at the front of the line, trying to figure out like, how does this work, or troubleshoot it or understand it going in, has always led to a little bit of difficulty, because it is, there are levels of confusion. Now, I will say this. It sounded like I was bashing Zoom, but I just did a Zoom integration last month, and they give you the instructions. The instructions are long. You have to give yourself a good, 80 or 90 minutes to get through it. But if you follow the directions line by line by line, it works flawlessly, and you can embed Zoom directly into your website. You can create meetings directly in your website, and it creates links inside your website that you can share with people for meetings that then use your corporate identity for social sharing rather than Zoom's corporate identity for social sharing, which is some of the reasons I love using that Zoom integration. Jitsi is a tool that came out, and like Zoom, I found Jitsi amazingly confusing. They have two different versions of it. They have a self-hosted version, and then they have a hosted version, and then they have these ways that you have to, if you're going to be self-hosted, you've got to do this, this, and this with your host. And, a lot of people that we talk to at this level, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but a lot of people are like, what do you mean I can't host video in my WordPress website? Like, a lot of people are just, at the very base entry level of, oh, I'm going to host my video here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so when you add 3 or 4 or 6 more levels or layers of confusion and integration to the platform, it can get overwhelming. So I found Jitsi to be amazingly confusing a year ago when I started looking at it. But apparently they've refactored some things, and they have an integration available or coming available. So I'll be able to test that soon and report on it here in the next few weeks. So hopefully, if you folks are watching this and you pay attention to what we talk about here, you'll want to come back in a few weeks, and I'll be updating you as to whether that integration is live or not.
Nice.
I don't know if I'm looking forward to it or not, be honest with you. Some of it's hard. And the thing is that people that work in those fields say everything is easy. All you got to do is, and I'm like, I'm tired of all you got to do. I got a lot of all you got to do stacked up. Whereby I thought was extremely simple to set up, because you just set up the room in their server on their platform, and it gives you an embed code, and you slap that embed code in the page, and you've got a live meeting inside your website. And I thought, well, that's freaking cool. That's easy. But then customers started saying, well, how do I record the session, and how do I do this, and and what if I want to have an invitation to the meeting in the future? And what if I'm like, all right, well, now you're just confusing the matter, right? At first you said you wanted live video on your website. Now you're saying you want live video and, which adds to layers of confusion.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I'm definitely willing to talk more about WordPress products, but like, well, we're talking about non-WordPress products. I want to promote one that you actually recommended to me that I love now, which is Opus AI. The ability to take your hour-long contents, your podcast contents, dump it into an AI tool. It gives you the the top 10, 20, even if it's a long video, it could give you 20, 25 of these 1-minute clips as YouTube shorts with vertical content with subtitles already on them in the cool style that they pop up. It's highlighted as people talk, and they grade you on each of the items. And so you can just sit down an hour, interview someone, put it into the AI tool, get 20 pieces of content just like that to post on social media.
Yeah, and I've gotten a little more ruthless about it because I used to only do my videos, but then I realized, well, I'm on somebody else's podcast. I could take that somebody else and throw them in there because, not for nothing, if you're on my podcast, I'm spotlighting you. I'm not being spotlit, right? I'm spotlighting you. But if I'm on the WP Minute with Matt Medeiros and he asks me a question and I give what I think is a pretty decent answer, Opus AI can pull that out of there and make it a social sharing clip. And I mean, that's just the gift that keeps giving. I like that.
Right. Yeah. That's any content you're on online. A lot of times when you do join podcasts, they're like, yeah, of course you can use this episode and promote it. That works better for the podcast.
Yeah.
It's just great for everyone to have access to that tool. And you get an hour, was it like an hour and a half of free for free of like, you can upload an hour and a half of video per account for free. That gets synthesized into these quick videos that can be easily promoted.
Yeah. Now, remember the video only stays on their server for so long, like 30 days or something, right? But you can download them and save them to your hard drive if you want. So I have an external hard drive, and whenever I process a video, my workflow is to automatically save all the snips and put them into a hard drive. And then that way I've got them if I need them in the future. And that's just one of my work habits. And then I also have an unlimited video hosting account that I can load things up to as well. So I can actually keep that stuff in a kind of a streaming page, if I thought that it was going to get traffic, if I thought it was that good. There's a ton, and Descript is doing the same thing. Like, so Descript has the ability to make clips now, and there's a couple of other tools out there. I think Adobe's coming out with an AI generated clips tool as well. So it's interesting. I just like Opus because it seems so easy. I'm all about easy. With these AI tools where you have to be a prompt master to get anything decent out of the tool. I find it frustrating. I know other people enjoy it. Some people are into this AI thing. Like, I'm going to be an AI engineer and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. I'm a point and shoot person. I want something. I want to go get it. I don't want to have to massage it 8 different ways to go get it. I want it to just happen. And so, instead of you going direct to like Chat GPT or Llama or Claude, I'm the kind of person that will go through another tool that's already done the heavy lifting for me. Like, if I wanted to write a post for a blog post, use some AI to preload some text, I would use Write Blogger as a tool instead of going to Chat GPT to ask it to help me. Because I like to cheat. I like the extra help.
Yeah, it really just allows your content. It gives your content business wings, in a sense. I hear a lot of people review AI products and they're like, oh, it makes me feel like I'm starting my day at 30 miles an hour instead of 0. And so I really like taking those kind of opportunities to leverage the tech products available into how they can be useful. Like, instead of just being like, oh, can this match my vision or not? Does this product that uses AI match my vision or not? Or is there a way that we can use the tools available to accelerate the processes that we're already trying to do? I think it's just a little bit of a different perspective, but it adds a lot of value with things like Opus or other tools.
Yep. Not for nothing. You and I both edit video. We know how painstaking it can be. And when you can hit the shortcut button and come up with content that quickly, it might not be exactly how you would have made it, but man, it sure speeds the process.
Oh, definitely.
I like how it puts all the hashtags and tries to SEO optimize it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's one more thing we can touch on, I think, before the end of the call.
Mm-hmm.
And that is changes at Stripe. Everybody's kind of excited about changes at Stripe. So we call it Stripe Connect now. Is that what we call it? We call it Stripe Connect, right?
That's right.
So Stripe Connect is now available. And so if you want to connect your WordPress website to, or a LifterLMS powered website in WordPress, Stripe Connect now uses like an OAuth kind of process. You know, like you basically say, oh, connect, and then it says log in, accept, and then it's connected, rather than going to Stripe, going to the developers menu, generating API keys, you know, an API key and a secret key, and loading those keys into your website, and then creating the webhook off of the keys and all of that. So instead of that process, which I'll admit doesn't seem like a big process now. I mean, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I was probably like, what the hell am I doing? But, you know, now it's a matter of course, right? You just go, oh, connect Stripe, no problem. Click, 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 click. But the Stripe Connect thing is much more direct. And my interpretation, I guess I'm always subject for reinterpretation, but my interpretation with this is I've had clients in the past get like an email that says, oh, you have to, it's not recycle. What do they call it? It's like respooling your API keys. Return, recycle. Maybe it is recycle.
Yeah, like resyncing, recycling, something like that.
Yeah, it's like recycle your API keys. I got to tell you, the first couple of times customers forwarded me those emails, I thought that's a scam. Don't touch a thing, right? Don't touch a thing. It's trying to get a hold of your business account. But it turned out it was a real thing. Like after a certain amount of time, Stripe would say, oh, well, your API key is on multiple sites, or on multiple tools. So you're going to have to recycle your key or respin a key. Respin. Maybe that's what it is. Respin a key. It's got a term. Anyway, it means just generate a new API key. And people get really weirded out about that. My interpretation is that when you're connected via an OAuth situation, you're just logged in to Stripe remotely through your WordPress website, and anything that has to be respun, retooled, whatever, Stripe would handle at their end. It wouldn't be your obligation anymore. So I think that's that. I think that's going to wrap up I got to say, this has been a rather quiet Ask Me Anything call.
It has, yeah.
Thank goodness we had some questions come in before the call. All right. Where can people reach you if they want to reach Emily?
Just Google Magic Emily Middleton. You could look at wpcourseguide.com for my tutorials. How about you, Kurt?
LinkedIn. I'm the only Kurt Von Ahnen on LinkedIn, so that makes that part easy. And then Mañana No Mas is my company name. And I don't know. Lately, we've had a lot of people reaching out. It's been kind of cool. Like the traffic at the agency has been high lately. I don't know if I have no idea if it's seasonality. I don't know if it's like, you know, Black Friday's coming. I don't know what people are thinking, but we've been busier the last couple of weeks, like really busy, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
All right. Peace out, folks. I'm going to hit you with the video on the way out. Enjoy yourselves. We will see you next week.